Hey folks, Lee Purcell with Reel Rollers, and I'm really excited to spend some time showing you how to backlap the Revolution 26. But before we get started, we're going to cover a couple things. Number one, how do I know when I need to backlap? Well, you can either be proactive or reactive. The proactive way is determining what type of grass you have and determining how many square feet you have. And we like to use our own calculation that we have found works best for us, and what that looks like is this. For Zeon zoysia or emerald zoysia, or a thin-bladed zoysia, we tend to backlap our reels about once every 150,000 square feet. Now, for Bermuda grass, we tend to backlap at 200,000 square feet. And for fatter blade zoysias like Empire or El Toro, we tend to backlap about every 250,000 square feet. So, take the amount of square feet of your house, divide that by the number that we provided you based on your grass, and then you can get a rough idea of how often you should be backlapping your mower, your Revolution 26. Now, the reactive way is by looking at your grass on, say, 24 to 36 hours after you've mowed. And if you start to see a brown haze atop the grass from a distance, then you most likely need to adjust the reel or need to backlap. My recommendation would be first, try to adjust the reel. Take the mower into the garage and using your T-tool, adjust the reel-to-bedknife so that you can cut an index card from left to right. If you find that you can't, that may be an indication that it's time to backlap. One of the things we need to talk about are the tools that you'll have to put together. So, grab a pencil and pen or hit pause on this part of the video and see if you can gather all these supplies prior to putting your mower in position to backlap to make your life a little bit easier. So the first thing we're going to do prior to inspecting our reel and getting it ready for backlapping is we're going to grab our Phillips head screwdriver, our drill with a 13mm socket, and remove this side cover quick. I like to start with the front and remove the Phillips head screws first. And then I move to the back, remove the Phillips head screw there. And then last but not least with my drill, remove the 13mm center bolt. Once I have these all out, I'm just going to put them back in the side cover so I don't lose them for later. Another reminder, whatever you do, do not lay your mower on its handlebars when you're inspecting the reel or the bed knife. I'm going to grab our Sidekick reel mower stand. We made this to help people avoid doing exactly that, laying the mower all the way back on its handlebars, because what ends up happening is the gas and the oil, they exchange, and essentially you end up having hydrolock where you can't pull the starter. Yes, it's fixable. It won't ruin your engine, but it's just kind of a pain in the butt. So to avoid that, make sure that you use either some chucks to block the back drum and some blocks to get the front roller up, or we like to use our Sidekick mower stand, which ensures the mower is propped up for easy access to the reel, but it never exceeds the 45 degrees, which is what we hope you never do on this engine to avoid any problems going forward. So now that we've got it propped up, let's go ahead and check the reel-to-bedknife and make sure everything's all lined up. So the next thing we're going to do, now that we have the mower up, is adjust our reel-to-bedknife to ensure it has the slightest amount of contact. To do that, we're going to use the reel-to-bedknife bolts and our provided T-tool. If I turn this T-tool left, the reel-to-bedknife on the left side will actually grow and gap, so it'll free it off the bed knife. If I turn this handle right, it will tighten the reel-to-bedknife. Same applies to this side, and the bolt's right back in the back right corner. I tighten it to the right, it's going to tighten this side. Turn it to the left, it's going to loosen this side. My goal here is to first adjust the reel so it has zero contact with the bed knife. Once I have zero contact, I'm going to go from left, right, turning the adjustment ever so slightly so that I get the slightest amount of contact all the way across the reel to the best of my ability. That way I'm ready to backlap. Now, contrary to belief, you don't want to backlap your reel mower up on a stand. I know it sounds crazy, right? You don't want to do that, and I'll tell you why. Now, if you look at the image here up on the screen, you're going to notice the Revolution 26 bed knife on the left and a Swordman bed knife on the right. Now, the bed knife on the left on the Revolution 26 is designed to come with a relief ground reel and is designed to be backlapped between having to take your mower to a shop and have a professional new relief ground grind put on the reel. And the reason being is you can see that reservoir, we call it a compound reservoir, on the bed knife on the left, the Revolution, right behind the bed knife blade, facing blade. So what happens is when you're spinning the reel backwards, the relief angled on the reel blades scoops the compound up and across that compound reservoir and directly to the bed knife immediately to make that backlapping very efficient, effective, and consistent across the entire bed knife. Now compare that to the bed knife on the right from Swordman, which is a spin ground reel, and you'll often find a flat bed knife with any mower that has a spin ground reel. The compound that you're trying to pick up on a spin ground blade, which doesn't have an area to hold the compound, and then swiping it across a completely flat bed knife really eliminates the compound altogether. And true, you may be able to achieve a sharp edge eventually from backlapping a spin ground reel with a flat bed knife. But let's be honest, when you look at them side by side, it's just not designed to do that and will take a much, much longer time. Just something to consider and be thankful for when you think about the design and the intent that we put into the Revolution 26 on your behalf, because we want reel mowing to be easy for all. So, as we just spoke about, contrary to belief, we don't want the mower elevated and propped up for backlapping because we want that bed knife to be parallel and flat so that that compound can sit in the compound reservoir and truly do its job. So, the thing we're going to do now is put our mower down. You don't need the Sidekick mower stand anymore for backlapping. Next, we're going to open up our compound, our brush cover, stick our brush into the compound, and then I'm going to connect, and I'm going to rotate the drill. It's going to be going clockwise, so right. So I'm going to check it first. Perfect, it's spinning right. I made sure my speed setting is on 1. I don't want it on 2. I want to spin this reel at about 100 to 200 revolutions per minute. I'm a simple math guy. I basically want it to go around twice per second. I don't want to exceed that because I don't want to get covered in compound, and also it's unnecessary. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my drill right here into the reel clutch sprocket on top of the reel clutch bolt, and I'm going to do a test spin. So what I'm going to do before I even put compound on is I'm going to hold the drill and I'm going to pull the trigger. And I can see how fast it's spinning now. And I'm going to find that pace I want, which looks like about that, which to me is about a quarter of the throttle for my drill. Now that I've got that down, I'm going to grab my iPhone, hit start, and for 5 minutes, I'm going to spin the drill with my right hand, and with my left hand, I'm going to take the compound and go across here, usually about 3 times. Immediately you hear a sound change. The goal for backlapping is to backlap for 5 minutes straight and apply compound, 1 brushful, about once a minute. Your initial compound application should be about 3 brushfuls. Well, let's go ahead and start. Let me move the camera to make this easy for you. All right, now that we've got you guys set up above me, got the reel-to-bedknife set, I'm gonna go ahead and go to my phone, set up a 5-minute timer. My goal here is I'm gonna start rotating this reel, and I wanna backlap this reel for 5 minutes consistently. I'm gonna first apply 3 big globs of compound across this reel 3 times. I'm gonna hear a sound change. Once that sound changes, I'm gonna be watching my watch here on the phone, and about every minute, when that sound starts to change again, I'm gonna apply another probably brush full of compound. We'll go ahead and start, and we'll fast forward this whole part of it, but if you want more information, we can also put out a full video that shows the full 5 minutes. So here we go. Starting the clock. 5 minutes is off. Spinning my reel. Got a good speed right there. And now I'm going to start applying. You can hear the sound change. I can see gray compound sitting on the edge of that bed knife, where it's a combination of this glass and metal. In about a minute. I want to rotate, not always putting compound only on this side, but also on this side. Now it's amazing. So it's pretty cool that when you're done backlapping, the black compound now has become a gray. That's because there's material in there. Metal that you've worked off. And you can see it's all on that relief edge, that back edge, as intended. And then down below you can see the compound sitting in that reservoir on that bed knife. Let's take her outside, hose her off, and see what we got. Guys, it's a lovely Sunday here at Reel Rollers. Gonna go ahead and get the mower all cleaned up. All I did is turn the hose on. You can see here in the light, there's lapping compound all over it. It's a water based. As you can see, I'm just gonna hose off. Compound comes off pretty quickly. Once I'm done rinsing this all off, of course I'm gonna rotate it. Once I get this all rinsed off, I'll use a blower, backpack blower, and just blow it all dry to the best of its ability. It is still a mower, but I know some of you guys out there have ceramic coated these bad boys and the like. Alright guys, now that I've got the reel cleaned off from the compound, I'm going to grab my mower stand again just to make my life a little easier. Place that underneath the mower. And one thing you'll notice is the contact's a little less than where you started with, of course, before you started backlap, because we did wear some material down. Now, before I even make any adjustments, I'm just curious. I'm going to try paper test it as is. Cut. No cut. No cut. No cut. I wasn't expecting it to cut, only because I knew we were grounding material off. So I'm going to start with the right side because it was a side that wasn't cutting at first. I'm going to leave my tool in there. Cut the right side. Cut the middle. Cut the left side. Now it's tearing a little bit on the left, far side. Expected, we haven't adjusted this side yet. So ever so slightly, I'm going to adjust it and we're going to try again. Left, cut. Middle. Middle. Right's a little light. Just one more tweak on the right and it should be perfect. The right came a little bit up. And it just sounds so good. Let me grab a piece of paper here. I do think part of it is my paper's getting wet because I didn't dry the reel off. Cutting everywhere. Can't wait to go mow. Let's see how it goes. Hey guys, one thing I want to point out before we put the side cover on, and something we talked about, was this reel clutch bolt in the middle. This is the bolt that we turned when we backlapped. Now when we backlapped the mower, we were turning the reel right, which was tightening this bolt because it's a standard bolt. However, if you came to some abrupt stops with your drill, there's a slight potential that you might have loosened this bolt. So before we put the side cover on, let's ensure for the long run that this bolt won't give you any problems going forward now that we've done the backlapping and everything's adjusted right. So that's what I'm going to grab. Earlier I showed you guys this torque bolt, torque device, also the ratchet and the 13mm socket. I'm going to pull this bolt out and put about a third of blue Loctite, specific blue because I want to be able to take this bolt out in the future, but blue Loctite on the bottom third of that bolt, and I'm going to tighten it by putting a 2x4 in the reel in between the grass shield, and I'm going to tighten it to 22 pounds per inch on this device. Now if you don't have one of these devices, no problem. You're going to want to tighten that reel as tight as you can, reel clutch bolt, as tight as you can to the right until the front of the mower starts to lift up. That reaches about 22 pounds per inch. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'm going to remove this reel clutch bolt. Even though I feel like it's tight, I just don't want to take a chance. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it, put some fresh blue Loctite on it, just to make sure I don't have to worry about this ever going forward. For me, it just takes a few minutes and it's a long-term certainty. So I'm going to grab this socket here, remove this bolt right here in the middle. Got this, you can see the bolt. I'm going to take a little blue Loctite on it. There we go, nice and dandy. Got on the GoPro a little bit. Slide that back into place. Perfect. Alright. Now I'm going to grab my piece of board now that it's snug real quick. I'll put it right here as we did earlier, just to give me something to go against. There, it's jammed. And with this device, I'm going to wait for it to beep. A heartbeat, there's a heartbeat, but you'll also notice that if I let go of everything and try to turn it, the front of the mower starts to lift. We got her set. We're going to put the side cover on and let's go mow.